all, welcome back to my homestead. My name is Miriam and I am canning tomatoes today. Super excited. I got 40 pounds of tomatoes from Azure Standard. This was my first order with them. Unfortunately, they're not paste tomatoes. They are slicers, but they were selling them as canning tomatoes, and they can still be canned, right? It's just that they have more liquid than paste tomatoes, so I'm gonna have to, boil them down a little bit. I've got 6 that I've already done. I did yesterday, 6 cans of just whole tomatoes. You can see how much liquid is there. I really should have drained off some of the liquid before I canned them, but that's all right. And today we are going to make pasta sauce. Super excited. This is a pressure canning video because you cannot safely water bath can pasta sauce. You've got to use a pressure canner. So I've already got my pressure canner set up. My mom's gonna help me. We're gonna cut off the cores, and we're actually going to do this in the oven. So we're gonna put them in the oven so that the skins can come off. That way I don't have to do like the dropping in boiling water and then peeling them is too much work. So we're gonna use the oven to help us out. And then I'm going to get these in a slow cooker to get some of the liquid out of them. And then we're gonna go through a pasta sauce recipe that I found on the National Center for Home Food Preservation website. So always go with tried and tested and approved methods because that keeps you safe. So check out that website, National Center for Home Food Preservation, and you can look up all sorts of things, fruits, vegetables that you may want to preserve, and they'll walk you through all the safe ways to do it. So come along with me. I'm glad you're here. Let's get some pasta sauce done. This is what 20 pounds of tomatoes looks like. And I just core the middle. And then I put it on the baking pan. And I cut it in half. If it were just like paste tomatoes, I'd cut off the end entirely and just have them stand up. But I found that doing it like this works best. And these are like perfectly ripe. We got them yesterday. I think that they would be overly ripe by tomorrow. So kudos to Azure Standard. Really great first experience with them. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this with all of them and then put them in the oven. So I'll come back at the next step. And we have a third tray here. These are all the baking trays I have. When those 2 trays in the oven are done, then I'll put this one in, and then I'll take the last 12 or so that are in the sink and get them in too. Actually, I realized while we have the tomatoes in the oven broiling, I can start on the veggies that are going in, or the aromatics. We've got a cup of onions. It should be a cup of bell peppers. We don't have a cup of bell peppers, y'all. We just don't. This is actually from the garden, so I'm very proud of myself, but we don't have enough. And then we've got some garlic, 5 cloves of garlic. So I'm gonna start sauteing these so we can make good use of time while the tomatoes are in the broiler. So you don't need to do this, but I feel like getting them sauteed and caramelized will give, more flavor to the sauce. And I don't want oil in here, so I'm just going to use a little bit of water. You can put oil as long as you're not putting too much, but oil will make, you know, over time can go rancid. Even if you just put a little bit, I'd rather not put a little bit. I'd rather just let it cook down in the water. So I'm going to let the onions cook down, and then I will add the bell peppers and the garlic. You can also do celery. We don't have celery, so this is what we're gonna do. The onions are becoming a bit more translucent. I'm gonna put in the bell peppers. I wish I had more. So we'll continue to let it cook down and put the garlic next. Now this is why this is a pressure canning recipe. I'm gonna put some more water because you need to pressure can since there's no acid you're putting in vegetables. For the garlic. Bring you guys in a little closer. So I'm basically stewing it in the water and allowing everything to cook. And again, you could use olive oil. I just am choosing not to. Sit and let the water all evaporate. Gonna lower fire a little bit, and now let's check on the tomatoes. All right, the top shelf, they're ready to go. The skins are browned. Grab all the tomatoes. That's my green stock order. So excited. I ordered seed starting trays. So here's the first batch. What's on the bottom, I'm going to bring to the top because you can see it's not blistered or anything. And I will bring this small one on the bottom. All right, so 5 more minutes and we'll come back. All right, time to take out the second batch. So you can see the middle, can you see the middle one that does not have any dark spots? That's probably going to be challenging to take the skin off of. So if needed, I will put it back in for a few minutes, that one. So we put the bottom tray on the top, and we wait a few more minutes. Now I already started taking off some of the skins, but you can see how easily it comes off. It's just stuck on the little edge. And they're still pretty hot. So you just pull. And And you can take the skins. I mean, these, I wouldn't use the roasted ones, but you can take tomato skins and dehydrate them to make tomato powder. Obviously, you can put them in the compost. You can give them to your chickens, though I'm not going to give them all of the skins because I feel like that might agitate their stomachs. But yeah, it just is a much easier process than putting them in boiling water, then putting them in cold water, and it was too much. I've done that before, and it's just too much work. So I really like this idea. I got this from Becky over at Acre Homestead. All right, so we'll continue to pull these off, and I'll come back when it's time to get them in the slow cooker. Now I have some tomatoes in here from yesterday's batch. I'm gonna get the new ones in as well. I'm gonna use these tongs because I feel like I could squeeze out some of the liquid. So the more liquid you can squeeze out, the less you've got to cook down. Oh, missed a piece of skin on this one. Now, if I had a food mill, I could run this through a food mill and it would separate the skins and the seeds, but I don't have that, so that's why we're doing it this way. So we are going to get all of these tomatoes in the slow cooker. I'm gonna put it on roast. It's on warm right now, but I'm gonna put it up on roast and allow it to cook down. So this is what we have. I'm going to do another pass to break down some of this tomato, and I'm going to let it cook down a little bit longer before I start putting it in jars. So I'm going to use pint-sized mason jars. Because, you know, some meals you really just need one. Sometimes you may need two. So I don't want to do everything in a quart because you don't always need a quart. And then with the pints, I can double stack them in my 23-quart Presto canner. And double stacking is always great. I really want to get all this done in one load. So I should be able to stack around, I think, 14 pints. I'm ready to can, and I've actually already started filling the cans. My battery ran out, it died, so here we are again. You can see, well, let me move you a little bit so that you can see it. This was filled up all the way to the top. So I filled about, I think, 7 or 8 jars so far, and we're gonna fill up the rest of them. I've actually had to get more jars because I thought I had enough, but this is a lot of sauce and I'm actually super excited about it. Unfortunately, I forgot to include mushrooms, so I think I'm gonna get another batch of 40 pounds next month and do mushrooms in that one. Oh, I put a little bit too much in this. Let me get a spoon. So you should put about an inch of headspace. And that is not enough. Okay. All right, that's good. So yeah, I've got some more jars that I filled up with hot water to heat them up because you don't want to put hot liquid in cold jars. That's a recipe for disaster. And you will end up with jars breaking in the canner. Nobody wants that. Not after all this work. I did end up putting, too much. I did end up putting more salt. I put some red pepper flakes. I put a little bit more of Italian seasoning. It tastes really, really good. I'm so happy about it. All right, so the next step is to debubble. I can't find my debubbler, so I'm using this chopstick. It is a plastic chopstick. You want to use something plastic or wood to debubble. And you're literally just going through and making sure there are no air bubbles in there. So we want everything to can properly. As I mentioned earlier, I'm following the National Center for Home Food Preservation's recipe, and this is for pasta sauce without meat. I've got vinegar on this napkin. This is a really important step because you can see there's a little bit of tomato on there. So I'm gonna move it to a fresh side. You wanna make sure that you clean the rims of your jars really well, because if there's food residue on them, the lids might not seal. And again, we've done a lot of work to get this done, right? So we wanna make sure that everything seals properly. I'm a little anal. I really like the lids to be, like the title of the lid to be in line with the label of the jar. So that's just me. All right, so we've got these three ready to go. And let's get them to the kitchen. All right, y'all, I've got 4 more jars here, and I don't think it's gonna be enough, which is a good problem to have when you need more jars because you have so much food to can and preserve. I think maybe 2 jars after this, I think. But I'm gonna have to go and get some. I ended up filling these with hot water from the tap. And that worked because this has been on warm, so the pasta sauce is not super hot. But what I like to do is run my jars through the dishwasher because that obviously cleans them and sterilizes them, but then it also keeps them nice and warm. So that is a tip for you all. Yeah, I'm gonna need at least 2, maybe 3 more jars. All right, let's debubble. And wipe. Another great thing about doing this and wiping down the rims is this is another opportunity to see if you've got any cracks. Cracks on the rim will also keep the lids from sealing. So this is a great opportunity, like this one. This one has a crack on it, drats. All right, so this is not gonna go in. We'll put this maybe in the freezer. That's annoying. But again, that's why we do it, right? Because then I would have canned it and it wouldn't have sealed. Again, turning the label so that the mason jar lid is in line with the label, because that's just how I roll. Let's get these two in the canner, and I've got lids in warm water in the kitchen, so I'll get a lid for this one. All right, let's go to the kitchen. We've got 16 pints in the canner, and I'm going to walk you through what it looks like to set up the canner so that we can get all of these pints of yummy pasta sauce canned up for us. All right, let me show you guys what we've got so far. Now remember, I had 1 jar of extra tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, yesterday. I put that in there. I acidified it beforehand. So we've got 3, 6, 9, 10 filled jars in there. And what I'm going to do is put this tray on top, and that way I can fit another level of pint jars. So hopefully we'll have about 19 or so. All right, let's keep going. So this is a 23-quart Presto pressure canner, and I have 16-quart as well, which is about yay high. This one I love because you can double stack pints. And so here is the lid. There is a vent here, and I always, you can hold it up to the light to make sure nothing is in there, so I can put it to the window's over there. Or you can blow through it, put your finger on the other side, and feel the air. So this is clear. There's also the gasket, the rubber gasket here. I oiled it, so I just took a napkin with olive oil and I ran it around. This helps the lid to come on and off quickly. I didn't do this yesterday, and it's been a minute since I canned anything. Let me tell you, I used every bit of muscle to open this here pressure canner. We don't want to do that again, so I oiled it. And so we are going to put this on. There are clear arrows to open it in this direction, close it in this direction, and it lines up to the arrow here. So you can see my microwave is just tall enough for there to be clearance. The timer just went off. So I'm going to carefully put this on so that I don't burn myself. And you can see, you can hear the volume went down. So I put this weighted gauge on. We're gonna wait until it starts rocking. And then I will set the timer for 20 minutes. These are pints. It's 20 minutes, 10 pounds of pressure. And then after the 20 minutes, I will turn off the stove, let it cool down. So I'll come back at that point. Again, from the time it starts rocking, we give it 20 minutes so that it can pressure can properly. It's been 20 minutes, so I'm shutting off the stove. We're going to leave this to cool down. The gauge will stop shaking. Once it stops shaking, I'll wait another 5 to 10 minutes and just tap it gently. If steam comes out, I leave it alone. If when I tap it and nothing happens, no movement, no sound, that I will take it off, and then I'll let the pressure canner continue to cool before I open the lid. So we'll be back. So again, I'm touching this, no steam coming out, so I'm taking it off. If it would get off. There we go. It's never stuck before. And I'm just going to open the top. And I'm going to leave it slightly ajar. Okay, so I opened it just a little bit to let it cool down further. And then I'll take it off and we will get the jars out. So I'm taking the chopstick that I used to debubble, to grab the tray out. And you can see there was a little bit of siphoning. You can see some of the tomato sauce came out a little bit, but not much. Tomato products, they tend to siphon more than other things. So it's all right if you have some siphoning, as long as your jars seal. All right, we've got 8 out so far, 8 to go. And I can see the water, it is a bit orange, so there was siphoning. There's at least one jar, it looks like, that might have siphoned a bit. The water is pretty dark, and so that's how you know that there was some siphoning happening. It's not terrible though. All right. Move some of these jars over a little bit so we have enough room for all of the jars. Now, I'm gonna leave them here for about 12 hours. Tomorrow, well, 24, 12, 16 hours. Tomorrow morning, I will check them all, ensure that they all sealed, and then I will take off the rings and wash the jars really well. Especially with tomato, there is sugar in tomato, even though maybe you don't feel like there is, and they get sticky. So you want to make sure there's no residual thing. Ooh, there's nothing residual on the jars. All right, last one. This is the crushed tomato. You can see the liquid on the bottom. I'm really happy with this. We've got 15 jars of tomato sauce and 1 jar of crushed tomatoes. And then we've got 6 additional jars of crushed tomatoes from yesterday. I think we did really good. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you all in the next video. Feel free to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends who maybe want to get into canning so they can walk through the process as well. And let me know in the comments, what are you guys making? What are you canning? What's coming out of your gardens, or what are you getting at farmers markets? Remember, you don't have to just grow what you can. You can buy what you can as well. Farmers markets, Azure Standard, great sales at the grocery store. Doesn't matter where you get your produce from as long as you are canning and preserving it. All right, talk to you later. Thanks for hanging out. See you in the next video. Bye.